he actually gets to...
Listen to me. I don't have to. He
Chrissy.
has to. That's your son.
No,
he has
no,
to. I don't
you
have
have to remember,
This
once
is a choice.
once you and him get married, and really, as far as I'm concerned, y'all are married, okay? And if you're part of him, okay, and that means he's definitely me, that means that you're part.
As Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin argued furiously, the tension in the room was thick. Friends and family stood nearby, exchanging uneasy glances, unsure of how to intervene. Jim, known for his temper, was escalating quickly, and Chrissy wasn't backing down. "You think you can just talk to me like that?" Chrissy shouted, her voice shaking with a mix of shock and anger. "You've overstepped." Jim, enraged, shot back, "You don't get to tell me how to handle things." His face flushed, and the room fell silent as he stepped closer, eyes narrowing. In a shocking move, Jim slapped Chrissy, causing everyone to gasp. She staggered back, her hand flying to her cheek, first in disbelief, then in fury. "You've lost your mind," she yelled. Jim's son, who had been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward, his voice firm with concern. "Dad, you can't treat her like that," Jim snapped back. "Stay out of this." But his son refused to back down. "No, Dad, you can't just slap her and expect everything to be okay. You're better than this." The room grew even tenser as the confrontation played out, with everyone processing what had just happened. Jim, trying to assert control, said, "You think you can tell me how to run my life? I make the rules here." But his son, disappointed, shook his head. "This isn't how you deal with problems. You're just pushing people away." Chrissy, still shaken but more composed, stepped forward, her voice steady. "You should listen to him, Jim. This is toxic, and I won't stand for it anymore." Her words cut through the tension, leaving everyone in the room silent, waiting for Jim's response. Jim's son pointed to the door, saying, "If you think this is okay, then maybe you need to leave." "This isn't the man I look up to." His words were heavy, and Jim's expression darkened. "You think you can kick me out of my own house?" Jim shouted, but his son didn't flinch. "If this is how you treat the people you love, you're not welcome. You need to get it together." Jim's anger mixed with shame, and for a brief moment he hesitated. The weight of his son's words seemed to hit him hard. The room was thick with tension as everyone held their breath, waiting for his next move. Finally, in a low, strained voice, caught between understanding and rage, Jim said, "If that's how it's going to be, then I'll leave." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. A wave of relief washed over Chrissy and his son. "Are you okay?" his son asked, concern clear in his voice. Chrissy nodded, though her emotions were still raw. "I just can't believe he crossed that line." "It's not just about the slap, it's everything that led up to it." They both took a deep breath, the weight of the situation settling in. This wasn't just a physical altercation, it was a turning point. "We need to stand our ground," his son said, shaking his head. "This isn't just about today, it's about what we allow in our lives." As the room grew quiet, they realized Jim was spiraling out of control. They knew they needed to confront him as a family. If he's willing to change, maybe there's hope. But if not, we have to protect ourselves, his son added. Passed, and the sun began to set, casting a warm glow in the room. "Do you think he'll come back?" Chrissy asked, her voice tinged with anxiety. "I don't know," his son replied. "But if he does, we need to be ready. We can't just let this slide. It's time for an honest conversation." As the evening continued, Chrissy and Jim's son grew closer, having stood together against the tide of toxicity. In doing so, they had taken the first steps toward protecting their own well-being. Said, "At some point, everything needs to cease." Jim Jones, informed by Chrissy Lampkin, was facing the harsh reality that after 18 years of dating, their relationship might never evolve into marriage. On VH1's third season of Family Reunion Love and Hip Hop, Chrissy seemed resigned to the idea that marriage might not be in their future. The emotional exhaustion was evident, and viewers could see the toll it had taken on their relationship. Chrissy's Instagram post, "I know that neither of us will ever find someone like me," hinted at the deep-rooted tension. It was as if she was acknowledging that despite everything they had been through, the connection they shared was unique, but perhaps not sustainable. Jim Jones, sitting in that sleek, modern studio, reflecting on the alleged betrayal of $7 million, was a man caught between heartbreak and resolve. His revelation that Chrissy had been moving his money without his knowledge was shocking, and the impact was profound. Betrayal from a loved one, especially after so many years of shared history, cuts deep. The public unraveling of their relationship, after nearly 2 decades together, revealed cracks that many fans hadn't seen before. From their early days on Love and Hip Hop to Chrissy's iconic proposal, viewers had witnessed the highs and lows of their love. But now, the weight of unresolved issues, trust, respect, and money seemed too much to bear. As Jim vowed to pick up the pieces and focus on his career and personal growth, the question lingered: could this really be the end for Jim and Chrissy? Or was this another chapter in their roller coaster relationship, with the possibility of reconciliation still on the horizon? Only time would tell, but for now, both appeared to be on separate paths, trying to figure out what the future held for them individually. In a heart-wrenching scene, Chrissy and Jim confront the emotional fallout of their tumultuous relationship. As they navigate through the dimly lit living room, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Clothes are scattered, and an open laptop sits on the coffee table, a silent witness to their struggles. Chrissy, visibly distraught, scrolls through her phone, her eyes red from tears. Each picture reveals Jim's betrayal, him laughing and holding hands with another woman. The images sting like daggers, amplifying the feelings of sadness and rage bubbling inside her. When Jim walks in casually, he's immediately struck by the weight of her expression. "Chrissy, what's wrong?" he asks, his voice laced with concern. But as she shows him the pictures, his face pales, and the reality of his actions hits him hard. He struggles to find words, running a hand through his hair in disbelief, unable to articulate the devastation he's caused. "I'm not selfish, I love you," he pleads, but the damage is done. Chrissy's body language screams rejection as she crosses her arms, creating an emotional barrier between them. Tears stream down her cheeks, reflecting a profound sense of betrayal. With a heavy heart, Jim steps back, acknowledging the gravity of his wrongdoings. He can see the pain in her eyes, but the weight of his guilt becomes unbearable. Without another word, he exits the room, leaving Chrissy alone in the silence. As she collapses onto the couch, the phone slips from her grasp, a symbol of the shattered trust between them. The camera pulls back, capturing the disarray of their living space, a visual metaphor for the chaos in her heart. Chrissy's sobs fill the room as she searches for calm amidst the storm of emotions, grappling with feelings of abandonment and deception. This moment underscores the fragility of love, revealing how quickly trust can erode and the heart can break, leaving behind only the remnants of what once was.